Hey everybody, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today, Shrimp Day. I got some shrimp sent from buypetshrimp.com. I was struggle saying that out loud. And I didn't ask, they just sent them. So normally I buy everything, so that way I don't have to say it's sponsored. But this would be sponsored, and they have two new types of shrimp that they wanted me to see, bring into my store, show you guys, and so I'm going to go through that process. So they arrived today overnight. And I've selected this tank where I'm growing out some fry. You can see there's algae on the glass. And part of me wanted to show, like, this is what I want when I bring in a shrimp. I want there to be enough stuff on substrate, on the glass. You can see the sponge filter's got goodies in it. There's some plants in here. We can land some shrimp here and not have a problem. On the other hand, I've got a problem tank that needs some algae-eating shrimp. And he's got a new type of that. So over here with these guppies, you can see all this hair algae. And yeah, I've got cherry shrimps in here. These are Bloody Marys, actually. But they're not really big hair algae eaters like this. And so I want to put some in there, and this is how I test it, of like, you guys will see with me over the next, few videos, whether they're actually going to eat it. I'm not going to clear it out. I'm just going to see, can they convert this into poop? And so, yeah, and then I'll show you kind of what's going on in the fish room and other stuff. Like there's new goldfish and undergravel filters and things like that, and lots of test things and foods that I've been feeding. But I haven't opened it yet, so it could be a box of death, and that would be terrible because that wouldn't make for a good video, but I've never had that happen. So we're going to open it up. The only thing I did was remove my label so you don't know exactly where I live. Not that you probably couldn't figure all the things out because the internet's the internet. One-handed opening. Hopefully this will... By the way, if you don't have... You get like a 10 or 12 pack of these on Amazon for like $6. I use these everywhere in my house. I'm always looking for a razor blade to open a package. Now I got them laying all over the place, and it's not a problem. I should mention you can break off the tip to always keep it sharp as well. I never do. I just make them longer and use them, but I'm sure you're loving that sound. All right, so insulated box. Oh, my big pet peeve here. I hate this. So yes, free, but I'm always still critical. I like the candy. I like the note. I don't love insulation. This gets everywhere. So my critical feedback, and there's multiple companies, like I think Imperial Tropicals also uses this crap. It ends up in my fish room, and it sticks to bags and gets in my tanks. I hate it. So this is the part, and I'm a stickler for unboxing. Like, I want a good customer experience. Like, now you got to remove this, which is cool. You're like, hey, I got a treat. I like that. You get a piece of paper to read. But the problem is, now you can kind of only make a mess, right? You got to kind of like... So here's one of the groups of shrimp. And you got to like pull it out without getting it everywhere. Which I'm doing a good job so far of not getting it everywhere. Come on. So this is a breather bag. So if you don't know what that is, it means there has to be no air in the bag. So the shrimp are inside, or the fish, or whatever you're doing, and oxygen and CO2 can transfer between the bag, even though you would think that's not normal. These bags are engineered that way. And these are some yellow 24 karat gold shrimp. Yeah, I think that's what they're calling them. It's a new line, and so I wanted to see them. And he was offering to send some, so I said yes. Then we go back over here, we dig again, right? Kind of in that wet, if you've had to work in your attic where there's been a leak or something, you got this wet, I think this is all cellulose or whatever. It's not asbestos, or not, well, it wouldn't be asbestos, but insulation, like fibers, but it's ground up paper and stuff, I think. So let me get this one out over here. Interesting, two different processes. I wonder, maybe Eric will chime in a comment. This has the net. This could be a little bit of absorber. I wonder if it was just like, oh, we use both of them. You can see I'm pulling off the things already that I hate because the bag gets a little bit of wetness going. But these should be algae-eating shrimps, kind of like Amanos, if you will. They're not Amanos, but that's the thing. Now, the thing to know about these bags, where you can see, look, O2 in, CO2 out, you can't float them. if air is out here, they can exchange air. If there's water out here, it can't exchange. So if I go float these and I had fish, it'd be a problem. I could float them very quickly, but I don't need to. So typically what I do is I kind of get the bags ready. I go put them by the tanks, because sometimes you're buying more stuff and having it shipped in, and I like to sort it and going, okay, these guys are going to go here. I'll do that here in a moment. So those go and live right here. I usually don't acclimate fish or shrimp. That's just the way I do it. I don't seem to have big losses or anything like that. And then we know the yellows are going to go up here in the rack. So I'm probably going to set the camera down and physically just not drop them, but put them in the tanks, see what they look like a little bit later, and continue the video. So I will do that process now. All right, so I looked up the name of these, and these are not 24 karat yellows, they're 24 karat goldens, which, yeah, I could see that. They're almost like a little bit, you could have called them almost like a little peach color too. See if I can get to focus on them. But they look really good. Like, I would have no problem recommending buying these. They look great. They're already finding little snackies, which I like to see. And we'll see how they do with these fry, which I think will be fine. And they remind me, if I had to guess, they almost seem like they're culls from the koi line of shrimp. Or derived from it, or something like that. They kind of have that body pattern to them a little bit. Not with the other colors, but... And then over here, we've got the algae-eating shrimp. Look at that horde of Africans in the 800 gallon. They just won't stop breeding. Yeah, it's crazy. We'll take a look at that a little later. So let me go over here. These guys are going to be mostly clear. You can see one on the glass right here. So nothing to write home about in terms of looks. But if they're, good algae eaters, there's one back on the netting there. So we'll see. As they came in a little small, so I have no idea what the price of these are. I probably should look that up if I was a better YouTuber. But it won't matter. The price doesn't matter until we know if they do the job. So yeah, what does he say? These ones they're like the Pinocchio shrimps, he said. Do they have a name? He just says they're short-nosed algae eaters. So if you're looking for these ones specifically when they do the job, that's what they would be. But yeah, I mean, half of my job is this testing stuff, and I haven't had a bad order from them yet, so I keep saying yes. I normally buy it for the store, or I buy them for my own fish room, but yeah, here's some Imperial Tropicals. I'm going to start pairing these out, I think, for the tubs, like this big beefy boy here. And then some of the, I'm assuming that might be a girl there. I don't know. I got to research better how to sex these red flame ones. Like, this has got the black, but is that just color morph where, I would think this guy is acting like a male, is the biggest, all of that. Someone watching right now is like, I've bred 2,000 different types of paradise. Here's the 3 tips you need to know. But the coloration quite different on this deeper red, a little more brown, a little lighter color. The fins are coming in nice though on these guys. But I bought 6 in the hopes that I didn't get stuck with just I got 6 males. What a bummer. My logic would tell me that, the shorter fins probably, this could be a female up here, I think. But I don't know. And I could be stuck with a lot of other males. So that's why it's you buy a group of fish, you try to get a pair that seems like they like each other before you get rid of any. So I'll just move them to another tank and see if I'm pairing correctly. And then even if you have boy-girl, doesn't mean they always like each other. So... normally you kind of sit here and you watch the group and go, okay, but it looks like they all like that one over there. And then there's a bunch of boys over here going, hey, don't be looking at my lady. So we'll see. Because you can get different coloration from dominance from species of fish sometimes. And I don't have a trick of pointed anal fin or a dot on the anal fin or it does this. But this fish seems like everybody wants to bring her to the dance. So... I've been working with these Bleheri Rainbows. Came in the same shipment as that, actually. And sometimes they really fire up and color up. They're not the most colored up, but I was watching them breed yesterday because I put in a spawning mop. And we'll see if I can see any eggs on here for you guys and myself. I'm looking myself as well, but can we... Oh, shrimp's in the mop. Are you eating, Mr. Shrimp? Are you eating? Let's see if I can put a light on this and see anything down here. Oh yeah, right there. You see that egg? I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but there are eggs in here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're spawning in the mop. So my plan is to hatch some of these. So normally what you could do, you just pick a tank that you don't have. Like, oh, there's a lot of eggs. We sell these, by the way. They come with a suction cup now. I got to order some new ones so I can keep it up front so you don't have to get your hand wet. But, you know, if I take and hatch these out, which I totally can, and I will after the video probably, I'll hatch them in the fry container, or if I have a 10-gallon. And or you could send them to a friend or something like that. So I'm just going to put these back in because I'm not ready to deal with them. But they are laying like I thought. So now, you know, there's always multiple steps, right? First step, get them to breed. Hey, they've bred. Next step, raise them up. And so it's a pain in the butt to raise rainbows sometimes. They take a long time. A lot of small foods, but getting a little production line. So what you could do, if you had like a good tank of green water, you could take that mop out, put it into a tank of green water, put a new mop in there, and just rotate those like every week. And after a few weeks, you'd have to have another tank of green water because the fry could eat each other and all that. But still got Golden Guppy Palooza going on with the ultimate geriatric one of the originals right there with the bent back. I just don't have a heart to get rid of it, and it eats and it does fine. This is a new setup tank for the Goldfish Grow Out competition. So if you're into that, get into it for next year. This is my second year doing it, and you know, body shape, color, size, all that matters. I haven't wiped down the glass or anything since setting it up. I set it up with all crushed coral, undergravel filter, set up. I know there's bells and whistles going off for some goldfish keepers. I'd put them with crushed coral. I'd use undergravel filter, all that kind of stuff. But not much coloration coming in on my group of the Cyprichromis, the black bumblebees. Got some generic shrimp down there, basically. I did get a batch of fry out of these guys. So these are the swordtails that can go cold water or cool water. I like these smaller males that have better color because I want them to stay small. Not as big a fan of the leer tail there. I should probably take it to the store and let someone else buy it. But he can't breed. That big gonopodium, that bottom fin, cannot impregnate these females. So he's not really hurting anything other than he could eat fry. But I'll show you some of the batches of fry that we've done. Still just have the Goodyids in here. These little guys. And there are fry, but they hide out. Like that's actually one of the babies growing up right behind there. And there's more in the weeds. Still got the Pygmy Corydoras chilling in here. I keep meaning to break down this tank. I've only been saying that for 2 years and redo it, and I just haven't. These guppies that I got, I've been, you know, making more, doing their thing. But I will say, these guppies, I think, have a taste for blue shrimp. If you remember, this used to be just a absolute blue shrimp factory. And now that I'm making guppies, it's not a blue shrimp factory. However, I'm getting more of this Vesuvius. This is a type of sword. It looks cool. And I'm getting good growth out of the tiger lotus. So more food's going in for the guppies. But when you look around, you're like, there's not as many blue shrimps. And these ocean blue shrimps came from Bipet Shrimp. I did buy them. I do love them. I recommend you buy them. You know, when I have more, when I make extras, they go to the store. But yeah, I might take out all these guppies because I still want more blue shrimps. They sell well. I like them. I liked looking in this tank. But now instead of seeing lots of baby shrimps, you see baby guppies. And these guppies are okay. They're just not. They're not my favorite, right? Some more experiments I'm playing with. Let's see if it's still going. They got out or died or what? I had some blackworms in here, but they seem to have not. Maybe got too warm? I'm not sure. So, yeah, I put some blackworms in some of the tanks. I did that. Let's see here. What else have I been doing in the fish room? To bring my rolly stool with me, you can't stop me. We brought most of the Alpherocolstratus livebearers. So these are the last, these babies grew up. We need to catch them out before they start breeding again. And this tank will be ready to do something new. Like I could move those guppies over here because I don't care as much about the cherry shrimps. Let's see if I can get in a little closer here, but this is all Crypnuri, which I love. Different fish, even those are both livebearers, these guys don't seem to want to pick at, livebearer or shrimps nearly as much. So, yeah. Got the Pinocchio shrimp eating a little bit of algae on that snail shell. So the new algae eating shrimp are supposed to be closer to the Pinocchios or the Amanos in terms of algae eating. You can see here on the moving snail shell, there's some algae, but for the most part, on all the plants, there's no algae. Like the shrimp are doing their job. The combination of the reds and those Pinocchio shrimps, basically algae-free. Over here, I've been feeding up more and more and more, trying to get these pitbull plecos to do something. But they still refuse. But they're looking, if I can get to focus, she's looking chunky. Like they got eggs. I think maybe they just might not like my water. So maybe I'll give it another 6 months or something, then see if they like Dean's water. Dean's got some more acidic water than I do. Got some fry, only a few, out of these copper mollies. That's those two fry are. And this fry over here. Wait, actually, that's probably a lie. These are the platies. So still no babies out of them. These are going to be from these guys, but I should probably get them out of here soon because they don't look like they're going to grow up to be much. Well, how do I know if that's platy or molly? It looks platy to me, but maybe I got to grow them out a little more to know. That's the problem with commingling fish. You want to 100% know till you grow them out a little bit, but I feel like the mollies, they have a different body shape normally. Those are a little too slender and make me think they're more of the variatus. But the black tail makes you think like, yeah, maybe with the blue eye, right? So these all came out blue-eyed, the fry, and the copper mollies have blue eye. These guys, the red, the sunset variatus don't really have blue eyes, but they look more platy-like. So I think they're platies. Let's see. Let's take this over to the World's Giant Sponge Filter. No, we don't need to look at that. Lots of products. Filming. I was doing a live stream earlier today. Oh, yes, the 800-gallon. The African cichlids have finished digging. They didn't eat it. That's the misconception a lot of people have. They just dug up every plant because you see how the substrate's kind of lumpy? They will not stop breeding. They just will not stop. There's hundreds in here now. All the yellow are either juvenile or girls. All the blues are the boys. And yeah, we still have the rosy barbs and the clown loaches in there. And there's reticulated hillstream loaches. And there's rainbows that are mixed in. They're so dwarfed you can't see them because you just see African cichlids and don't see the rainbows. And there's Burchardi tetras in there. You almost can't see them. It's almost like the other fish became camouflaged because you have this wave of craziness. When I feed, let me get some food ready. When I feed them I'm feeding them the nuggets these days. Oh, come on. There we go. I'm feeding them a couple of scoops of nuggets. But you'll see just how feisty everybody is in here. Let's toss it in. Like that's a frenzy. It is fun though. I will admit it's fun. Knowing we made most of those fish. And but you can see the stragglers, the fish down here, the pandagar and stuff, not getting much food. Hey, that baby got food. Now you can see all the babies with the adults distracted. There's tons of babies in here still making more. Put in another scoop. Usually it's 2 or 3 tablespoon-sized scoops in there a day. But yeah, very active, fun tank. I guess while I got the scoop out, the other thing that I feed this to, these guys over here, the Shubunkins with the flagtail. So Bristol Shubunkins, flagtail, and then this guy is getting his personality, the giraffe catfish. So he'll be like a puppy as he gets bigger and bigger and really wants food. But put in a couple scoops. There we go. Of magic nuggets. There's no light in here apparently. Just won't focus on that because of the lights behind it. But yeah, you can see this guy. This guy's putting on some serious size. The flagtail Procholotus. And the nuggets. So this is, now you can start seeing the sand sifting ability. This guy's a vacuum cleaner, and you can see the sand coming out as gills. And so this food will settle in there, and that's how they want to eat. They want to sift through. Fun fish gets giant, though, so not for the average fish keeper, unless you want giant fish. But a cool fish nonetheless. So, yeah, fun tank. Gonna have to move some fish this summer, probably. Thin down the Shubunkins, spread them out a little bit more. Maybe some go in the pond, some stay in here. That guy can stay in there a while longer. Same with the flagtail. I think long term we're going to get rid of the Africans and spice this up with some more plants and things again, I think. Over here, just been playing. Let's see. I got those Bleheri Cichlids. Haven't put a cave in, so there's no breeding there yet. I've been working on making some fry. So just lots more guppy fry. I've been trying out some fry traps. Like here's another one that's kind of doing its thing, testing. I've got the fry you see swimming around. Some of them are rainbow fish fry that we're raising up. The way this system works is you put like a trio. I think I've got a quadruple in here of guppies. So a male and 3 females. You can see all the snails and the fish poop. But the fry can just swim out the side. This is a top ring. And then I haven't made the piece that goes here yet. This one, in theory, kind of like, this is a better one to show. Different version, worse version. But you could put a female here. Airlift the fry that go into the bottom over to here. And I use some of these systems to get some of those swordtails. So the red ones in here are the swordtails. And then I've got a different batch of guppies. I think they're these fry, actually. These magentas, which I am in love with, by the way. Twin City Guppies is where I got these. Eventually I'll sell them at the store. If you're local, you can come. But their colors is really cool. Short finned as well. I like that fish. So I'm making some more of those and just... otherwise you kind of get up here where you've got a few fry in the tanks, not enough plant cover. These guys have been growing out. We took a big batch to the store of these guys, the ones I got at the auction for free, basically. So obviously there's still fry in here. Like these fry are born naturally, meaning I didn't use a breeding apparatus, but because there's so much plants, that works. So the difference between something like this and something like this, like not enough plants. So if you want more babies, buy more plants or grow more plants. And then in here, like these were artificially raised and dumped in here, so there's no predators. They're all baby fish. Quite a few fish in here. And then there's another batch in here. I think these were panda guppies. We're just testing different techniques and trying to find what I like best. Over here, unfortunately, one of my alpha swordtails is losing its buoyancy, which is a bummer. But the other ones are doing okay, but you hate to lose a female. These, what are they call them, the ninja mollies or whatever they were. There's fry in here now, so that one grew out. That one grew out of it. The lemon ninja mollies. So that's good. Been letting, so this is all Pogo stem and Stellatus octopus. If you don't have any, you should be buying some. You should be owning some of that. And then the rest of this is all Guppy Grass. Like, I like the look of this better. This grows in too dense for me. See how dense it's getting? It's blocking out all the light. You can see it's killing itself off at the bottom. That crypt is sad. So what's interesting is people like, oh man, the plants are growing so much. What'd you do? Nothing. Like, there's no CO2. They're still easy green. I reduced the lighting compared to what I used to have. I used to have Chihiro's lights. But a lot of times it's letting things do their thing. You can see it's happy enough that it's purling. Like, I didn't do a water change or anything like that. The plants are just purling. They're happy.
They're making more. That's what they do. But yeah, 150 gallon. I'm thinking about, if you watch the live stream, I'm thinking about putting the Mbu Puffer that I'm quarantining at the store here. Here's the eel doing eel things. He's always got his eye on you. Oh, we fixed most of the hair algae problem. I say most because there's still a little bit of cladophora algae there. With these, they call them like the fishnet Siamese algae eaters. So like 3 of those and some Amanos. You know, and I guess, you know, my tanks are here for me to enjoy. So there's that. Also to educate though. And so like you're watching, you know, some of the shrimp tanks with algae. I didn't remove any algae out of here basically manually. I used animals to do it and finding the right balance. So like the guppy grass growing too fast, but I wanted to cover to grow some of the livebearers. As the pogo grows more and more, I'm going to remove the guppy grass. Because pogo doesn't choke itself out basically. Like you get this denseness to it, but it's not so dense that the bottom dies off. With guppy grass, a lot of times you look at the bottom and it looks more yellow and it starts dying off. Really right down here where you can see that like, okay, it's blocking itself out because it'll get so dense, it's collecting debris and all of that. And when you, like if I was to get a handful, you'd be like, that's a 5-gallon bucket worth. And so guppy grass is great if you've got a lot of tanks you want to fill, but also terrible in that it grows so fast and you have to do that and harvest. Where the pogo, much more, a little bit slower to get going, but also grows long term, not as much of a nuisance. And that's what it was. I wanted to kind of talk about a concept. Let me flip the camera around actually. See if I can fix this. Let's go to that. We'll see if that works. Here we go. Oh, am I too low for my own camera? Ugh, that'll work. This is the worst. Let me take this plate off. Your real-time YouTubering with me here. What I want to talk about was a new concept that I thought of, and every concept's been done, so someone probably already, this is terrible. This tank's not going to work at all. I'm too short. If I sit like this, maybe. I want to talk about a concept of different fish have different maintenance levels. And plants and everything too. So like, I think there's some enjoyment from when you're new to the hobby, you want to touch your tank all the time. When you've been around a long time, you don't want to have to touch it all the time. Maybe you have to travel a lot. And I feel like we talk about pH, we talk about size, we talk about what they eat, we talk about hardness, we talk about temperature, we talk about all these things about fish. And we don't talk about the human of here's how much care they would take, here's how much maintenance they are. Like a puffer, a Mbu Puffer, a lot of maintenance, a lot of poop, a lot of shelled foods, a lot of things like that. Whereas, you know, a guppy, not so much. Yeah, they make babies, but they're pretty low maintenance. And discus, high maintenance. Stingrays, high maintenance. Corydoras, very low maintenance, right? Angelfish, pretty low maintenance. And so I think there could be some new parameters talked about of like what maintenance level are fish in plants, what levels. And then like what maintenance level you want to do. And so we've been thinking for a long time, company wide, like how do we get the idea of the kind of aquariums we like? And I think it's easy aquariums. We were trying really hard to like, what is it? And it always boils down to, and always has, how do we make this easier? That's the question. How do we make it easy? I don't like it to be hard. I want it to be easy because I can do lots of easy things a lot. I can do one hard thing. And so plants make aquariums easier. Community tanks are easier to run than highly specialized tanks. And so, you know, there's lots of methods. There's, you know, dirted tank method. There's estimative index method. There's overfiltration methods. There's big water change methods for like discus and goldfish keepers. And, I think that the method that we want to try to further is just easy. Seasoned aquariums. Like we were like, how do we make that more popular? Like the way of letting nature do things, let it take a while, don't be in a rush. And I think that keeping things easy Our goal is to keep your tank easy to maintain, easy to enjoy, and you can make it more complicated, but you don't always need to. And so I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to work on maintenance levels, because I think, if you have 10 tanks of high maintenance, that's way different than 10 tanks of low maintenance. And what I see is people gravitate towards maybe a dirty tank or something. And it's not always because they specifically like the dirt or one of the angles. It's the hands-off approach. And so the maintenance level of a dirted tank really low, where a high-tech tank really high. And I don't think we do a good way of articulating that in articles and videos and all of that. So I'm thinking maybe I start the conversation of like, yeah, what is, is saltwater high maintenance? Depends on what you're doing, Same with freshwater tanks. I think there could be, breeding can be very high maintenance sometimes. Picking eggs out of a mop, that's high maintenance compared to livebearers. They just make more, right? But even in my own tanks in the 10 gallons there, you could see like, wow, that one's got a ton of fry. That one doesn't have very many. Artificially raising versus letting them drop. All of those are different maintenance levels. Hatching brine shrimp every day, or your fish die, the fry die, is a different maintenance level than magic small fish feed every day. And so that's why magic small fish feed has been such a game changer. People are raising saltwater seahorses, discus, pipefish, things that traditionally had to have a live food all the way up. And the fact that you can now go in and out of town, a lot of times people have to go to town and the person watching the fish doesn't want to hatch or doesn't know how to hatch brine shrimp. And so all of our products typically are targeting how do we make things easier or better. And better, when you make something better, usually it makes it easier. And so like brine shrimp's a bad example of that, because it's always kind of more maintenance. But I think that we made it less maintenance and it's less hard to separate the eggs and all of that. So I think, I'm trying to develop the concept of how do we make plants instead of low light, high light, medium light, which is how we've done it for the past 30, 40 years or whatever. I think there's more to it of like, great, it's medium light, or like guppy grass, low light, high maintenance. You got to trim it all the time. You got to work with it. Where a crypt, low light, also low maintenance. Okay? And so I think there's something there, and I haven't figured out fully how we're going to talk about it. And I don't get to decide. You guys decide. You're the audience, right? And so the audience might say, I don't like that. We're going to talk about it this way. And it doesn't really matter. Like, who decided nano fish versus small fish versus tiny fish versus dwarf fish versus whatever, right? Something eventually just sticks and we all adopt it and go, yeah, that's the word. And so I'm trying to just think of the idea though of like, yeah, I think there's something here because I enjoy low maintenance is my style. Easy tanks. It's always been sponge filters. It's always been auto water change when I could. It's always been how could be more sustainable, more plants. How do I make this whole thing easier so I can do more of it? And so that's why there's products behind me, and I'm always testing. I'm going, how do I make it better and easier? And so easy aquariums. I'm hoping that sticks. That'd be really nice because we have easy green and the easy iron and potassium. I'm trying to think of what other easy items we have, but easy auto feeder, easy sponge filter. Yeah. So thanks for hanging out, and thanks for clicking on this video. You could have chosen any, and we'll see you in the next one.